us. Also joining us now is Ahmed Shaheen, senior journalist from Pakistan. Ahmed Shaheen, your first thoughts on the Supreme Court's verdict today calling the arrest of Imran Khan illegal?
So yesterday I was on WION and we were talking about how the Islamabad High Court has deemed the arrest legal, and I mentioned that let it go to the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court has a soft corner for Imran Khan, and once the debate goes to the Supreme Court whether this arrest is legal or illegal, the Supreme Court is very likely to give leeway to Imran Khan, and that is because they have been doing so. The Supreme Court Chief Justice and many of the senior judges are the same part of the judicial establishment at the same time when the military establishment brought Imran Khan in. And according to Imran Khan's own statement, it was the military running his government. So the judges from the Supreme Court are still the same judges who were supporting him before when he was brought to power and even now. So it's hardly a surprise that the ongoing battle between the parliament and the Supreme Court of Pakistan, selected judges from the Supreme Court of Pakistan, is going to spill over in this arrest as well. And now the Supreme Court is saying, let Imran Khan go immediately.
Right. You're making an interesting point there, Ahmed Shaheen. You're saying that this is the bias of the top court because of which Imran Khan is walking out free. Are you essentially saying that the Shehbaz Sharif government has been at variance with the court on several matters, particularly the judicial overhaul, and which is why the judicial sense has been has had a more positive leaning towards Imran Khan?
I think rather than because of Shehbaz Sharif's actions, the Supreme Court has a leaning. I think the parliament itself and Shehbaz Sharif's government has been opposing the verdicts of the Supreme Court, and they have passed resolutions in the National Assembly as well against the verdicts of Supreme Court. Also, PMLN, which is now in government, their leader was barred from politics for life. And then later on, the very judge who barred him for life, his video was leaked in which he was saying that he was pressured to do so. So it's not as black and white as these verdicts are different for different people. Different rules have been applied to different people. Let's not forget, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was the Prime Minister of Pakistan. He was hanged by Supreme Court judges, and then one of the judges came on TV many years later and said that he was pressured to give a false death sentence to an elected sitting prime minister. So, I mean, even yesterday, there was talk in the parliament about bringing in resolutions and making the judges accountable because and clipping their powers of suo motu, because the last several chief justices of Pakistan have exercised or rather abused their power to gather funds and to exert pressure on the executive and actually to do the duties of the executive and legitimize martial laws, for example. So the history of the judges and the Supreme Court is not as clean as one would expect it to be.
But many would say, what was the need to arrest, Imran Khan outside the Islamabad High Court? I mean, he was going in for the case in any case, and there would have been a decision on the matter. Having said that, let's just go back to what's happened in the last 3 days or so in Pakistan, Ahmed Shaheen. The fact that Imran Khan was able to galvanize the number of people who came out on the streets. They had a pushback even for the military. What does this say about the kind of influence that Imran Khan still continues to have in public space?
If we look at who can exert such a pressure, the street pressure, it's always entities that are created by the military itself that challenge military, be it MQM from Karachi, be it Tehreek-e-Labbaik, the extremist religious people, be it the Taliban itself that the ISI helped create, or be it PTI. The only people who can actually give a tough time to the military are the creation of the military itself. And that's what's happening right now. I mean, it was unimaginable that civilians would actually barge in and go into the corps commander's house and steal his strawberries. But that happened. So it is the very creation of the military itself that attacks the military in ways that political parties and democratic parties do not attack the military or state institutions. So the kind of support Imran Khan got was also because the PTI workers are very used to being given that freedom of doing things. For example, the other political party, PTM, if they did 1% of what PTI is doing, there would have been massacres. There have been so many killings and abductions, even though these people are peaceful protesters. They do not burn down buildings. They do not attack state institutions, and yet they are from Balochistan or KPK, which makes them a little less equal than the supporters for military created powers like PTI.
Okay, fair enough. That's your point of view, of course. But, many people in the last couple of weeks, Sheen, have also pointed out on the possibility of military rule. The fact that there seems to be no political consensus on election date. There have been several rounds of discussions. The court has asked for, discussions between political parties as well. What happens from now on to the possible general elections, from now till October?
So the military rule is very unlikely, not because the military is not in the position to take the reins, although they are at the back foot right now. But the military rule usually happens when things are more stable. And the military rule usually ends when the things become unstable or unsustainable. You can look at any of the military eras of Musharraf all the way to General Zia. And the only time, Zia got killed in an airplane, but the only time the military wants to relinquish power is when it becomes uncontrollable. The situation becomes uncontrollable. Now would not be, if precedents were to be seen, now the military would not be interested in taking the reins. The military is merely, the military has just announced that we're going to stop interfering in politics. So they had to admit that they were interfering for Imran Khan's sake in politics. So the general elections and the provincial elections, Pakistan has a financial issue. If Pakistan's economic woes were not so serious, then perhaps there could have been more pressure on the government to hold the provincial elections, because the provincial elections are long overdue. However, the security forces are denying their service. They're saying we're not going to provide security to hold the elections, and financially Pakistan cannot afford two elections right on top of each other. So that's one of the problems, the political and the constitutional crisis that's going on in Pakistan. Of course, this multiplies everything. Imran Khan's arrest debacle multiplies everything. Perhaps it helps Imran Khan politically. There have been videos in Pakistani media. They are playing videos and audio clips of PTI leaders telling people to do Jalao Gherao, which is violent acts against civilians, against people on the roads, and against state machinery and state buildings.
Right. Sheen, thanks for that. And just stay with us. We're also joined by Anas Malik, a bureau chief from Islamabad. And Anas, the court ruling is obviously, big pat on the back for Imran Khan. What happens next? Elections are, the dates are still to be decided, as we're asking Sheen. What happens now? There's no consensus on whether the provincial elections will be clubbed with the general elections or whether they will happen separately. Political parties seem to be up against each other. But the bigger question, the bigger problem in Pakistan right now, as Sheen was pointing out as well, is the financial crisis as well as the constitutional crisis.
Well, financial and constitutional crisis remains there. The government is due to return $4.3 billion come the 31st of June or the 30th of June and at the end of June, and they have an assurance from the Chinese side that about 2.5 billion will be rolled over by the Chinese side. So there's still a deficit of about 1.7 and no relief in sight. With the IMF not coming around, the government is due to give its budget on the 8th of June. The budget session is due to go go into session from the 6th or 4th of June. Largely speaking, I don't see the elections happening anytime, at least the Punjab elections happening so soon, or on the 14th at least. That being said, PTI is insistent that that the elections be held in Punjab and in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Assembly, but as soon as possible. I'll come to the first part of your question in a very short while, but I would just like to draw the attention over the interesting exchange of judges and Imran Khan that they had today, a short while back in the court. Justice Athar Munilla said to Imran Khan that you should consider yourself lucky because the treatment that have been meted out to other political leaders have been far worse. Then Imran Khan responded that the National Accountability Bureau showed me the notice of my arrest. After my arrest, I should be told the reality. I was caught like a criminal. They've kept, it's still unclear, but they've kept cases of terrorism on me. Then Justice Athar Munilla said that your supporters have been going around and as per reports they've been involved in violence. To which Imran Khan said, and this is very interesting, he said, whatever that happened with me, there will be a reaction. And he was very casual about it. To which Justice Athar Munilla said, you should not be saying like this. There is media around in the courtroom, and you should be very careful with what you say. Then Imran Khan, then the release orders came, and this is what Imran Khan said. This is in Urdu, but I'm just translating it in real time. Imran Khan had appealed to his workers from the courtroom to remain peaceful. He said that I want you to not damage any property in the country or anything in the country. All workers should go and opt for a peaceful way. We do not want any violence. This is all Imran Khan who's saying in the Supreme Court, addressing or hoping that the media there would be putting his message out to the workers. I just want elections. My lawyers yesterday told me that implying in that NAB hearing that there's violence around the country. People come to the court seeking justice. I was beat in charge and I was hit by sticks. This is what Imran Khan is saying. He's alleging that he was beaten up by sticks. Then the treatment that was meted out to me, such treatment is not even meted out to murderers. I was kidnapped from the premises of the High Court, and when I was kidnapped, I was very, very surprised as to what had really happened. I was hit on my head with a baton. That's what Imran Khan is claiming. Then he also says, I really had no idea what is happening to me in my own country, and I was caught like a murderer, like a criminal, like a terrorist. How can I be responsible for whatever violence and the protests that have been happening in the country? So this is what Imran Khan's comments were in the court as and when his release orders came in, and in a short while from now we'll be seeing him walking out as a free man. Bhairavi?
Right, Anas, some very interesting details there being shared by Anas Malik and what really transpired within the court premises today. Emma Shane, do you want to respond to some of that Imran Khan said and the counter that he got to some of the statements he said about being, held up and, not treated well and so on?
Yes, I think the more important point in this conversation was what has been happening in the absence of Imran Khan, because his political party has been saying now this protest, this movement has become once he was arrested, has become a leaderless movement. And they said, what do you expect once you arrest Imran Khan? Of course, there'll be violence. So that's exactly what Imran Khan has said in the court as well, that what do you expect once I get arrested? Of course, there'll be violence. And obviously, Justice Athar Munilla snubbing him on that point. But at the end of the day, the legalities, of course, it's a personal vendetta against Imran Khan. Of course, it's a tit for tat for what Imran Khan did to the other politicians. And of course, history is repeating itself. But the only difference here is that the judges who could not see a military ruler's intervention and usurpation of power as illegal, the arrest of several hundred other politicians, senior politicians, as illegal, has now put out their magnifying glass and are looking at what was the time when he was informed about his warrant, when was he shown the warrants, and all the legal lacunas. And perhaps it's not a bad thing. Perhaps that kind of scrutiny when it comes to arrest, why is somebody being arrested from the courts? That's illegal, for example. But then there have been thousands of documented arrests from the courts, and very rightly so, Justice Azaminullah has talked about it. Perhaps he should have owned it more and said, "We are giving you more relief than we have ever given anybody else, who was victimized by the state." I think this whole cycle needs to break. I think it's also a wake-up time for Imran Khan to understand that instead of boasting about how he put his opponents behind bars and how he would make sure that they don't have facilities when they're in the jail, I think more concern has to be taken now about what is happening in Pakistan, how his political party is trying to force more dead bodies on the road to prove a point. Of course, we all want elections to be on time, but the politicians need to sit together and decide how is it going to happen, given the considerations.
Absolutely. Well, Ahmed Shaheen and Anas Malik, thank you both for joining us on that big breaking news. Well, Imran Khan will be walking out a free man in just a short while from now. Never a dull moment in Pakistan. We'll be tracking all the latest developments on the other side of this break. Stay tuned.